Hi everybody, hi, welcome to my garden patch. Actually, back is my studio. This is my little garden patch. And I'm with you today to actually respond to a question that I received on Facebook, I guess last night, but I just saw it this morning and it was a brilliant question. Someone that I play with in a group, the Prosperity and Wealth, we call it Millionaires in the Making group because it's a phenomenal 3-month adventure with Steve and Chutissa Bowman. If you've never heard of the two Bowmans, they are fucking amazing creators of magnitude. And I've joined their 3-month exploration of prosperity and wealth. And essentially, they've written a book, by the way. They've written a lot of books. They're really amazing books. And interestingly, I didn't bring any of those down with me to the garden patch, but I recommend that you look them up on Amazon, or I think their books are also available on the Access Consciousness website. Just look up Steve and Chutissa Bowman, or go to the two Bowmans, search that. I'm sure you'll find it easily. They also have a Right Riches for You channel on YouTube, which is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so what they were bringing up in the call on Tuesday was this whole concept of being willing to be out of control. So the question, hi Aurelia, so the question about being out of control, a lot of people were asking questions. A lot of stuff was coming up for people during the week, I suppose. Well, actually, during the last 3 weeks, there's all of these different scarcity paradigms, all of these limited points of view that we're operating from, that they address in their book, Prosperity Consciousness, and they're addressing in the class in a more experiential, like right in your face kind of way. So all this shit is hitting the fan for so many of us, because as soon as we shine a light on something, damn, we can see so much more of it, right? And so the question, one of the things that Steve Bowman brought up was a phenomenal clearing. Actually, I think it was Chutissa, but then again, whatever. It's what generative energy, space, and consciousness, which is what we are as infinite beings on the planet. We are energy, we're space, and we're consciousness. So what generative energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, out of structure, out of significance, out of linearities, and out of concentricities with total ease for all eternity? How much fun is that? Anything that doesn't allow that to shift and change, destroy and uncreate it all. And we use the clearing statement in Access Consciousness. If you don't know the clearing statement, hop over to www.theclearingstatement.com and you get a beautiful explanation from Dr. Dane here, who's absolutely phenomenal and amazing, and you'll have fun with his explanation. But for short, we just kind of pock and pot it all, or I'm going to say this is for my mother. Mama, this is for you. This is the way my mother clears. She just goes pock and pot, pock and pot, pock and pot. She does the little chicken dance. But that works too, because you're tapping into the same energy, which is kind of funny. Anyway, so the question that I received from my brilliant friend was, what is the difference between this out of control that Steve and Chutissa are inviting us to, and actually I've been invited to in many access classes throughout the years, as well as wedgified by being called the control freak of the Western world, which is a lovely wedge as well. So what is the difference between that type of being out of control and I don't know if you guys have hopped onto my YouTube channel. The cover no longer looks like this, but I read this book online there. It's about 3.5 hours of me reading out loud and playing with you guys with the book, How to Become Money, which this is in Spanish, but this is what the cover actually looks like right now. So it looks like that if you hop onto Amazon or the Access website, etc. But anyway, there's a whole section in there about control. So how is it that control, one of the elements that we speak about in how to become money, is being control, while at the same time, on this prosperity and wealth exploration that we're doing with Stephen Chutisa Bowman, they're inviting us to be out of control. So what is that? And I invite us to look at this energy, like what is control? What does control mean to you? How do you use control in your life? How have you been controlling in your life before? And have you controlled it so that it would be very, very, very predictable and very, very, very limited, and that you could just, there's a saying like, get a handle on it? So if that's been the kind of control that you've been doing, that's the invitation of, a clearing statement like, what generative energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to be out of control? To not have all of these, like, oh my God, what are people going to think of me? What are people going to say? Oh my goodness, if I don't get this perfectly right, then I can't do this. You know what? Who cares? That's the invitation. The invitation is to let go of the micromanaging and to actually just begin to play, to let go of the points of view of the how and the control of it can only show up this way. It can only be like this. It's all those definitions and the forms and the structures that limit what we can actually have versus this. Get the energy of this and perceive how different this is. So I'm reading from the How to Become Money workbook here. So the next element you must have, I'm just going to read a little before then because otherwise it just kind of jumps in. Anyway, no, you know what? I'll read this whole little section. That is, okay. It's because it's just so freaking brilliant. So what do you do? What do you do to create money? Well, first of all, you must become power. Power is not sitting on top of another. Power is not controlling. Power is energy. Unlimited, expansive, flip the page. Oh my goodness, I'm tearing my pages out. Growing, magnificent, glorious, fabulous, exuberant, and quick energy. It is everywhere. There's no diminishment of self in energy. There's no diminishment of self in power, and there's no diminishment of another. This isn't an either-or universe. This is all about we. And when I grow, I be a light, I shine a light, I be this energy and this exuberance, because by the way, he's speaking about all of this all around us. It's also who we be if we're willing to step into that, right? There's no diminishment of self in energy, there's no diminishment of self in power, and there's no diminishment of self, of another, sorry. When you're being power, you, that's you. Yep, if you're listening to this, you totally get this. You are in totality, self. And when you are self, you are being energy. And as energy, all is connected to you, which means unlimited supplies of money are connected as well. So when you're actually hiding yourself, when you're not being you, when you're, hi, Christina, when you're not being you, when you're limiting yourself to, this little tiny thing that you can control and it can only look like this and it can only be, tiny, 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 whatever, then you're not being you. You're not being the power of you. You're actually limiting it all. Now, you'll become power, and then to do that, you say 10 times in the morning, I am power. We can sing it too, yeah? I am power, I am power, I am power. Yeah, and in the evening, say 10 times before you go to bed, before you fall asleep, and definitely before you start snoring. Yeah, I am power, I am power, I am power. And now what else must you be? Creativity. I am creativity. So what is creativity? It is the vision of your life and the work that you desire to do as the essence of you, as the soul of energy. Everything that you do, done at creativity, regardless of whether you're sweeping the floor, cleaning the toilets, washing the windows, washing the dishes, cooking the meal, writing the checks, having sex, you can add so much to that. Whatever it is, done as creativity, connected to power, which is you, equals energy and results in money because they are all the same then. So this is actually really freaking cool. In other words, it doesn't matter what it is that you do. It's you that you're bringing to what it is that you're doing. Or as I adore my friend Bhagya Lakshmi, and she always says, you know, being comes before doing in the dictionary. And it's so true. And this is the invitation to actually be. And when you're willing to be, you are out of control, because every 10 seconds is a new adventure if you're willing to have it. Ooh, this is so much fun. So the next element you must have is that which is awareness. So what is awareness anyway? Awareness is the recognition that everything you think, everything you say, everything you be, all of that, everything gets created. It is manifested, and it is how your life shows up by your thoughts alone. So are those thoughts really congruent with what you'd like to have? And this is just playing with us so much. It's absolutely fantastic when we're willing to be these elements, when we're actually willing to step into all of these energies. So much can show up in our lives, and we go away from the stories that we tell ourselves every time we see ourselves in the mirror, and we go away from the stories that we've been repeating forever. We go away from the points of view that we bought from everybody else about what's quote-unquote real or true. I got a real talking to from somebody yesterday about how I'm on a different planet or a different reality because I totally didn't share the same points of view that she did. And that's okay. That's being out of control. That's being willing to be you. That's being willing to not give up what you know is true for you, regardless of anybody else's point of view. So anyway, back to this, because I'm about to get to that control part, which I was promising. If you have the creative image of where you're going, and by the way, any creative image that you have is probably not nearly as big as what you're capable of having. You're not asking for near enough. You're not giving yourself near enough credit. You're probably only boring yourself by asking just a teeny weeny bit. So what else could you be asking for? If you're this power, and you're this awareness, and your creativity, and your control, which we're going to get to in a sec. So if you have the creative image of where you're going and what you're going to do, and you attach to it the awareness that it is a done deal. It is done. It is, let it be. It is so. Abracadabra. There it is. It's a done deal. It will manifest. But what you do upon this plane is you add in that element of time, all the hows as well. Time is your killer, because if you do not manifest $1 million tomorrow after completing this course tonight, you will decide it is a worthless class and you will forget everything that you learned. Well, so how do you account for time? By being control. Here we are, finally at control. I am control. So what does it mean to be I am control? I am control is the understanding that at the correct time, in the correct way, and this is key, without you defining the path. This is where being out of control while being in control is so interesting. It's not the how, the definition, the step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's none of that control. It's knowing that it's a done deal, and it never shows up the way we think it will. And that's brilliant, because it can show up in so many different ways. If I've only limited how the universe can show up for me, or can bring things to me, or phenomenal things can show up in my life by doing this or this or this, and that's the only way it can show up. Well, you know what? Dr. Dane has a great saying, your point of view creates your reality. And the thing is, something came up in the chat in the prosperity and wealth group today. It's our points of view that blind us to what's truly available around. So if we didn't have these points of view controlling and defining, in other words, getting out of our own frickin' way, if we were to just step out of the way, so much would be available for us. And that's the gift of that. What generative energy, space, and consciousness can you and your body be to be out of control. Out of control, no figuring anything out, not being cognitive, not being in your head, not going back to the history or her story or whatever story you're telling. Usually it's about how pathetic you are or how things never work for you or blah, 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 blah. So getting out of all of that shit and being willing to be out of control, out of definition, out of form, out of structure, out of programs, out of repetitions, out of significance, out of linearities, out of concentricities, out of your own fucking bullshit for all eternity. And when you're willing to be that, and when you're willing to do that, and when you're willing to just like entertain it for 2 minutes or more, you know, it's up to you. Or just 10 seconds maybe. That's it. But when you're willing to do that, then you get out of your own way. Then you get you out of hiding. Then you step into everything that you can be. Then you actually like show up and play with the world. And one of the gifts that I've gotten over the last year is actually getting what a game, what a joke, really, a really funny joke this planet is. And we take ourselves so very, very seriously. And I get that. Not everybody can receive joke at this time, maybe, but maybe in a little while they can. And you know what? It's not really about what other people are willing to choose. It's about you not giving up you at any point in time. It's about you being committed to your life and you having your own back. And that's been really one of the huge gifts of this past 3 weeks with the Bowmans, because it's all been about, are you committed to your life? Are you 100% committed to your life? And that's been a huge demand in my world, to be committed to my life, to actually get aware of what it is that I'd like to have, what it is that I'd like to create, what it is that I'm choosing and contributing and creating. Because I've not been acknowledging my creations. I've not been acknowledging the things that I've contributed to people's lives. And yet I see people's lives around me change, even if they just walk into a room with me or watch a Facebook Live. And I don't do them very often. So, hey, this is like my wedgie to get out of control, to get out of hiding, and to start having fun. So back to this control thing. What does it mean to be I am control? I am control is the understanding that at the correct time, in the correct way, without you defining the path, darling, without you doing that which you envision as creativity, your asks, baby, that which you are aware of as a completion, because it's a done deal, you know, that which you connected to as the power of it, because you're fucking amazing, you're a miracle walking if you're willing to be that, right? All of that, where did I go? As the energy of it is a done deal in its own time. In its own time, you fucker, in its own time. So don't pull out in the last 2 seconds just because you don't realize those are the last 2 seconds. Keep enjoying yourself, you know? And if you put those 4 components together and you allow the universe, not you, you control freak, or me, I'm talking to me, you realize that, because I can see me in the Facebook Live, so this is as much for me as it is for anybody else. And if you put those 4 components together and you allow permission, baby, you allow the universe to adjust every aspect of it and to fine-tune the world to become your slave or your lover or whatever else you'd like it to be, you will manifest exactly what you desire. And that is so, wow, these birds are amazing. Check this out. Wow. Oh, I don't know if you could see those, but they're these huge birds that are flying overhead. And I guess my dog did notice them because usually she barks at them like crazy. So that's really what I'd like to speak about in terms of control. Oh, there's so much more here. But I'm not going to read the whole damn book. It is already on YouTube, where I read the whole damn book to my mother, and I don't think she actually watched the video. I started it as a recording for my mother, And then I made it a recording for everybody else, and a few thousand people have watched it or heard it or whatever, read along with me. If you haven't, go on to YouTube. It comes from this book, which no longer looks like this book. This is the old-fashioned version of it when it was a spiral notebook. The How to Become Money workbook. Well, the thing is, you know what? So many people have so many freaking points of view about money not being, oh, you don't talk about money, and oh, what if you have a money problem, and whatever, you know? They're just points of view. If you're willing to have money, if you're willing to be money, it's you're willing to be and do and have and generate and create anything and everything in life with no excuses whatsoever. Because, I mean, how often have we put our finger on money being greater than us, or money choosing our lives, or anything else like that? You know, when we use the excuse of money, well, this is an invitation to screw all excuses, literally, to let go of excuses and to recognize that you can choose to create whatever you would like to create and to have and to be and to do. And a lot of it, and yes, this is for you, you know who asked me the question, it's about being out of control. Being totally willing to be as out of control, out of definition, out of form, structure, limitation, out of linearities. Oh my goodness, these birds are amazing. Out of concentricities, out of all the points of view of what people say is appropriate and inappropriate. I mean, how terrible are you willing to be? And the terrible is not to screw anybody up, not to hurt anybody. It's just to be you and not to worry about everything else. It's all that worrying about everything else and, oh my goodness, what will people think of me? That's the control. That's that, not the control from the How to Become Money workbook kind of control, not the control that creates your life and living. No, that's the control that keeps you in a stuck little tiny poopy diaper kind of a life. And you can have that too if you like, or you can change it whenever you wish. So how out of control are you willing to be? Out of definition, out of form, out of structure, out of significance, out of linearities, out of concentricities, with total joy and ease and laughter and wonder and fun. Anything that doesn't allow that, will you let it go and actually recognize that your job on this planet is the joy of being? And that joy of being, that exuberance, that smile that you be, that energy that you be, is what invites other people to be able to choose to have that too. Because one thing I'm getting so much over the last few years, probably the last couple more than anything, is that the rest of the world doesn't function this way and doesn't relate. Like if I walk up to someone, I was at an event this Sunday, met our rabbis, and I was smiling. And someone said to me, why is it that you're always smiling? I said, because I woke up this morning and I'm a miracle walking. And life is amazing and exuberant and glorious and wonder-filled and just phenomenal. And I wouldn't have a smile on my face for what reason? And that's a gift. It's your gratitude for living. It's your choice. It's your joy. That's the I am power. I am creativity. I am awareness. I am control, I am joy, I am money that we're invited to in the How to Become Money workbook. And by the way, for my Spanish-speaking friends, I did record it in Spanish as well. You just have to put up with my, gringa accent and enjoy it anyway. Or not. That's okay too. So thank you. This was probably a lot longer than I originally intended for it to be, but I hope it was a contribution. See you soon. Bye.